podcast 882, Science Friction.
And welcome everyone to the MyMac Powering Through. Welcome everyone to the MyMac.com podcast. There are things that we could talk about, but it's all mostly just a bunch of political wailing about one thing or another. And so instead, at first, we were saying that this was going to be a short show, but now I'm not as sure about that as I was before.
Well, it has to be.
We're going to try. But what we're going to talk about this week, just because there's not really a whole lot of actual tech news going on, we're going to talk about some of the cool sci-fi TV shows that are coming to the small screen, which by saying TV shows, that automatically means small screen, so I don't know why I said both of them. Hello, Gaz. How are you? How has your week been?
I'm very well, actually, and yes, busy at work, going into the office, but I'd just like to drag you up on something now. Our younger audience, probably, those in their early 70s, a younger audience who I'm not sure whether we've got or not, but actually a younger audience wouldn't know what you meant by a TV screen anyway, because most of the screen time that they have will either be on their phone or some sort of tablet of some sort, I would have thought. So, yeah.
And other than that, it may be like an 80-inch plus TV.
Or it's on it. Yeah, when you say
screen.
TV, they say, do you mean a plasma screen or an LCD screen, which is like basically the size of a wall? Yeah. No, it's been fairly busy at work. Not done a lot on MyMac again because my eldest is actually using the desk where the Mac is to carry on with her job. So I have to think about possibly whether I move this setup. But the problem is I bought this quite expensive screen to go here and not elsewhere, and she won't be able to use the screen. So I've kind of scuppered myself into a corner until she decides to obviously up sticks and move out. But I can live with that. She pays her way, so that's cool. And I've just come back. Anybody watching on the YouTubes will go, why is he wearing a white shirt and tie? Well, the reason is I haven't long been back from refereeing this afternoon, a game over at Peterborough, and I'm still in my after game attire. Just to clarify,
show them that beautiful spot of white shirt that you've got.
That spot there, that spot there, but it's that spot there, which is our logo.
Which won't be funny to anyone other than us.
No, and that's the logo. So, yes. I should send you an image of the logo so you can use it.
We can put that. Sure.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's your week gone this week?
Okay, well,
Guy,
I want you to listen to something very, very closely here, Gaz. What do you hear?
Well, I hear donk, which I think meant that you actually went too far back on the springs of your new chair.
Yes, I got a new chair that so far does not squeak.
Yeah.
That chair, and that the chair of shame is right over here.
Has he got a dunce's hat on? Is it facing the corner?
Well, I'm not. Well, I can't. See, here's the thing. I have to keep a chair here in this room for the cats because they like to sit in these chairs while I'm recording or doing stuff on the computer if I don't actually have them in my lap. So, but part of the reason why I also got this chair is because they have completely ruined the last two chairs that I've had.
Right.
So 2 years later, I mean, if you could see what this chair looks, it is like just cat damaged everywhere. So for this chair, I'm probably going to get some of the towels that we don't use around the house and put them in the strategic areas where the cats like to scratch and keep the door to this room closed.
Yes, definitely. So have you bought anything this week, Guy, at all?
Maybe.
Maybe
right here.
being yes, I have, or maybe being I'm thinking about it, or maybe being no.
Yes, I have.
Guy, can I ask you what sort
sure.
of object have you bought? Because it can't be a mic because you've got so many microphones. You really don't need any more. So it could be an audio linkage sort of piece of equipment because you're always looking at those and you like those. But it definitely can't be a mic, or it might be some sort of other connection to help the sound between, because it's going to be sound, but it won't be a mic, will it? Will it?
It's a
Why
mic.
will it?
It's a mic. I'm a micaholic, and I need help, Gaz. We were having a conversation.
You need a lot of help.
I do. We were having kind of a conversation with Carl over in messages, and he accused me of being a micaholic and said I needed an intervention.
What do you mean accused? It's,
yeah,
accusation. It's a matter of fact.
It is. It is kind of a matter of fact. Hopefully, this will be the last mic I buy for a while. Sorry. I say these things.
I think I've sussed this out, though. Well, okay, before we go any further.
Yeah.
What mic is Guy using today?
It is, and I don't normally buy this kind of microphone. This is a Lewitt LCT 440 Pure condenser microphone. I normally buy dynamic microphones, but I'd heard so much good things about this one that I would say I didn't have any choice, but that would be a complete and utter lie. So I won't say that. But it is a cool looking mic, and it comes with a shock mount and 2 different kinds of pop filters. But I think this mic sounds great, and I mean, I'll see how it sounds.
Can I just make a point, Guy?
Yeah.
You're not going to like what I'm going to say here.
Okay.
You sound no different to me from any other week.
If you see, you don't listen back to the show once it's edited and comes out.
I do.
Oh, do you? Because there's some weeks I just sound atrocious. Last week I sounded
less to do with the mic, though, Guy,
and more to do with just me in general. Okay, I get jokes. Last week I used the old standby, the Heil PR40, which I've had for a long time. That is a dynamic microphone. But I did want to try something a little bit different because most of the mics I have are dynamics. So I bought this one, and it's a nice mic. We'll see how this does on my voice as compared to other weeks, because I can hear the difference when I listen back to the show. There's some weeks I just go, oh, that's dreadful.
The thing is, the amount of times you go back, the amount of times you go back to that mic that you've used on the weeks where you sound general, make adjustments with your system, and you're perfectly happy with it. There's a clue there.
I don't think there is. I think I would rather just get new microphones.
How much did this one cost?
I don't even want to say.
No, nor should you. I'm going to say nothing.
Because you're seeing how much it costs there in the show notes.
I am, and I'm not going to say a word.
Yeah.
But what I am going to say is, we were expecting a shorter show. It may have to be a shorter show because I won't get fed unless it's a long show. If it's a long
all right,
show.
well then we should move right over to Gaz's snippets.
Nicely done. Now, we did mention this last week, but I'm going to mention it again because Apple saw 25% growth in European smartphone market last year to hit the highest ever share. And yeah, they just keep going from strength to strength all across the world. I just wanted to repeat that, certainly for the Europeans amongst us. Apple has celebrated Heart Month with a new resources across services. Apple is rolling out a series of new Heart resources in February to support users' health journeys to stay moving and informed. I haven't seen any of that, so I've got no idea what that is, and I really couldn't be bothered to click on the link to find any more information. But there you go. Grindr, apparently, guys, gone from the Chinese App Store, and Apple didn't remove the dating app. You're keeping very quiet.
Yeah, because suddenly my ear thing popped out of my ear, and when I put it back in, I suddenly heard the "we're testing on StreamYard." Sounds like it's like where the hell is that coming from? So that may actually end up being in the recording this week, because I'm seeing it also over in Hindenburg.
I didn't hear it, but I'm saying nothing. I'm gonna power through, Guy.
Okay.
Apple has taken 10% share of the worldwide notebook personal computer market in the Q4 of 21. Apple's Mac carried the momentum from September quarter and set an all-time record in the company's history. This is a different company to the company that we knew some 10 years ago, Guy, isn't it? 12 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, especially back when it's a completely different company from when I first started.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
from the 90s, it's not even.
Don't go there. Don't go there. They're making more money now selling earphones than they did back then.
Yeah, pretty much. Just earphones.
Wordle has been acquired by the New York Times for over $1 million and could pave the way for an iOS app. I've got to say, actually, I've got an iOS app for Wordle. All I did was convert the web app into an app, and it's working fine.
And you know what's really stupid about this?
Go on.
Newspapers all over the country are bleeding money. They're just losing money everywhere. Newspapers are shutting down, and the New York Times buys basically what's going to be a shot in the, not a shot in the dark, short-lived obsession with some people for $1 million, instead of putting that back into the business to do something else. And I don't get that. I don't get that at all.
Yeah. It's all about clicks, Guy. It's all about clicks. Apparently, Apple has sued a Ukrainian director over an indie comedy film titled Apple Man. I'm really not...
Yeah. Why Apple? Why would you do that?
You don't own
just because
the word
it has Apple. Yeah, just because it has Apple in the title.
And actually, the guy is got special powers using apples, possibly, but it is a comedy as well. Come on, Apple, get a life.
Agreed.
You're starting to actually annoy a lot of people in doing some of the things you're doing.
Yeah, amongst the people that actually use your products, instead of annoying all the people that don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, can you imagine the world outside of Apple, the things they're going to be saying about that?
There's a world outside of Apple.
No, there's not. I forgot. I don't want to disillusion you. iPad shipments fell, but Apple still
shipments.
iPad shipments. iPad ship.
Thank you for clarifying.
Fell, but Apple still increased its market share of the tablet market. So that indicates to me that the rest of the tablet market fell like a stone as well.
Yeah, nobody's buying Android tablets. Not in any large
not
quantities.
When you can buy paracetamol from the chemist. It's fine. Tablets are available. Apple remained number one in the semiconductor spending in 2021. Well, there's a surprise, having said what I've just said about phones
M1
and about ridiculous.
M1 Plus, M1 Max.
The World Trade Center, Guy, has been among the first to replace Office keys with iPhone and Apple Watch.
What about the people that don't own those devices?
Well,
I guess they just can't get in their office.
I assume they get a free one.
Yeah, it's like, well, I can't go into the office yet. I got to wait for Mary to show up with her Apple Watch.
Yeah. Excuse me, have you got an Apple Watch? Can I get in, please? Because that's the sort of people that won't have an Apple Watch and a phone. See?
Yeah.
Foundation Season 2 is coming this year, and Apple TV Plus just revealed a first look. I think you might be talking about that later on, so I won't go any further on that. Apple releases watchOS 8.4.1 for Apple Watch Series 4 and later. Still having a few issues with the battery life on my watch, actually. When I'm running the Strava app and also running a countdown on one of my stopwatches, not one of my stopwatches, but one of the stopwatches apps on the watch, it seems to struggle. Now, I've done this for a long time, but at the moment it really seems to struggle to keep going. And then I'll try and power it back up, and it tells me straight away I've got 20%. So I think the battery on this is maybe gone, so I might have to do a swap out. And it is the version 4, I think I got. Is it 4? I think it's 4. So I'm quite looking forward to getting a new one anyway. So I was thinking about it, but it looks like I'm going to probably be getting it sooner rather than later.
Is there anyone that actually changes batteries in those things?
I think it costs too much. I think it costs too much to do it. I will do a bit of investigation, or if our wonderful listeners would like to tell me, then I'll take their advice.
Yeah.
Okay, I just brought this one up because I think we're going to see more and more of these because of the advertising from Apple as well. Apple Watch credited with saving a cyclist after being knocked out from an electric bike crash. Why they had to emphasize it was an electric bike crash rather than just a bike or a cycle crash, I don't know. Whether that makes the difference because it was an electric bike crash, it was so much worse than just being a bike crash. But however,
well, the weird thing is there was a guy on a unicycle that crashed, and the Apple Watch was like, he doesn't deserve to keep going.
No, not if he's on.
We'll let him go. Unicycles, no.
Yeah, no. But I think
that's not true, by the way. I'm just making that up for anyone who right now. It's not just France, it's not just Germany. Now I've made all the unicyclists mad at me too,
because we got loads of them listening.
We do. They're all of them, every single one of them.
That I understood that was for comedic value, Guy. Any new listeners may not have done.
Might sit there and go, what? Unicyclists?
They're having a go at unicyclists, and now they're telling us that they've been having a go at the French. Oh, well. Apple's two-factor authentication autofill feature now blocks SMS phishing attacks. How it does that? Again, there are so many security processes here. If I start looking into them and reading about them, I go halfway through. Oh, so what? Just do it for me, will you, please?
Yeah, please. Okay.
$1 million iPhone repair scam leads to prison sentence and almost $2 million in penalties. A $1 million iPhone repair scam running for more than 3 years has led to a Chinese man receiving a prison sentence and being asked to pay almost $2 million in restitution and penalties. Now, I got a feeling, unless he's got that money available, he ain't going to get that back.
No, probably not.
And if he's in prison, how is he going to pay? How is he going to pay it? He can't go to a cash point, can he?
That has always made no sense to me. It's like, we're going to throw you in prison for 10 years and you're going to have to pay a $250,000 fine. And the guy that's been sentenced to 10, he's like, if I don't pay, will you throw me in prison?
Yeah. No, I've got to say, my dear lady, Mrs. Gaz, always likes the phrase, he's in custody. And she said, that must be really messy. Anyway.
Chocolate custody.
Why I've done that? Oh, yes, I saw a couple of websites pushing how to upgrade from Spotify to Apple Music and transfer your Spotify playlists. Yes. Even the websites are trying to get in on it.
Here's the thing. I do not have a paid Spotify account. If I did have a paid Spotify account, I would not be dropping it just because that's like the trendy thing to do right now. I haven't asked Tim, though Tim is, of course, welcome to do so if he wants to. I haven't asked him to remove the MyMac podcast from Spotify. I haven't removed Guy's Daily Drive.
We could do that
from Spotify. Yeah, well, I mean, you can if you own the content. Well, Tim, of course, owns the content, so he'd have to do it. But I wouldn't ask him to do it. It's like it's one guy. It's one guy saying something you don't like. Okay, don't listen. If it bothers you that much,
not quite
leave the platform.
Not quite the argument, but I'll let it lie because these are Gazzy snippets. You'll like this next one, Guy. You'll like the next
tell
one.
me.
A new Apple TV Plus animated series, Pretzel and the Puppies. It premieres on globally on February 11th. It's for kids,
Pretzel,
really, Guy. Yeah, it's
and
for
the
kids.
Wow, really? You think? Is it that like that? No, it's for OnlyFans. That's what that is. Yeah. Pretzel is a stripper, you see, and her puppies are actually her. Well,
I don't want to know what a puppies are.
Let's just move on.
Don't go with Pretzel's puppies. That could really end up bad.
Let's move on.
Me and Pretzel and her puppies. It always was going to end badly, and apparently. That's
right off the cuff too.
Oh, very good. Especially as no, Apple is not working on smart wedding rings. Could you imagine that? Wedding rings are traditionally worn on the ring finger, not the middle finger, which is reserved for another use. That was a headline, Guy. That was a headline. I'm not saying any more. It just made me laugh. Apple's proposal to allow third-party payment methods in the App Store lacks details, says South Korean Regulatory Commission. So they're not happy. They are not happy.
What? How much do you think they'll fine them? We're going to fine them $5 million. And Apple's like, all right, there you go.
Oh, dear. The App Store's already made it.
We're doomed now. $5 million.
Apparently, a federal judge in the US has dismissed a proposed class action lawsuit. I wish I could spoke tonight. See what I did there?
Yes.
A federal judge in the US has dismissed a proposed class action lawsuit that accused Apple of misleading customers about the iPhone's water resistance. Apple has extensively advertised the water resistance of the iPhone in its marketing campaign since the launch of the iPhone 7, including the claim that some models can survive depths of up to 4 meters for 30 minutes. I'll say that again, 2 plaintiffs from New York and 3 from South Carolina brought a lawsuit against Apple in the Southern District of New York for a false and misleading misrepresentations.
Thumbs up.
That purportedly allowed the company to charge twice as much for iPhones rather than the cost of average smartphones.
What does that have to do with water resistance?
Misrepresentation.
But if what they're saying is true,
but what they're saying is the misrepresentation has led Apple given Apple the ability to be able to say, "Oh, our phones have got this, and we can charge so much more for them." Although, to be honest with you,
they've never said that.
Well, they kind of have hinted, but it's horse manure anyway. It's been
of course,
out.
And not that good, clean kind of horse manure.
What the judges said that Apple did not mislead. So there you go.
Yeah. So screw those guys. New York,
the British Academy of Film and Television Arts has unveiled its nomination for the list of the 2022 awards, including, count them, 3. Probably from those 3 people in New York and South Carolina. Apple TV productions. There you go.
They somehow got to vote over in the UK for.
Yeah.
Wow, those guys are good. They're global.
The problem was they voted for the wrong thing in the UK. Apparently, a second.
There's a lot of that going around.
Tell me about it. Don't talk about politics in the UK.
No.
Wow. Apparently, there is a second Israeli firm that is exploiting the iPhone flaw, Guy. Don't know what it is about the Israelis at the moment, but they really are pushing the boat out.
You mean it's the second Israeli firm that's been caught exploiting the iPhone?
Well said. Well said.
And it's not just limited to Israel. It's everywhere.
But
that's what people do with exploits.
I don't know what it is about Israel that's being, Apple's iPhone sales in India increased 34% to a new all-time record. Well,
12.
That's probably because they're now making them there. Apple's App Store grip challenged by a bill advancing in the Senate. The Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday approved a legislation that, if passed into law, would force Apple to let users install apps from outside of the App Store. Okay, just give me a second. I think that the person, company, or governing body is putting at risk my ability to be able to choose a secure and reliable environment that I have chosen. So, person, company, governing body, if you want to play that silly game, I, along with a lot of, I'm sure, other people, will continue to call you nasty, horrible people for putting my security at jeopardy. Just like to bring that up.
Okay, well, Gaz, before you go on, just remember how tech savvy those people are in the Senate of the United States.
I'm saying nothing. Apple will charge 27% commission for App Store purchases made using alternative payment systems in the Hollandish place. That's the Netherlands for you, Guy. Interesting. I'll come back to that in a second or two, if I may. Apple's Caltech $1 billion patent infringement case to return to court 2 years after Apple lost. An Apple Caltech patent infringement case is returning to court some 2 years after the iPhone maker was ordered to pay $838 million in damages. The new trial will now only consider the sum awarded and will not revisit the question of infringement. So that money could go up, could stay the same, or go stating down the damn obvious, or go down. I expect it might go up. Apple Music has reduced its free trial period to 1 month. Since launching in 2015, Apple Music has offered a 3-month free trial to first-time subscribers, but the trial period has now been reduced. Don't know why. There's a certain
Spotify new users. Sorry.
Yeah, possibly. Anyway, it's gone down to a month. Apple TV Plus series Raw, starring Nicole Kidman, premieres on April 15th. Dead Calm. Was it Nicole Kidman? Was she in Dead Calm? Was that Nicole Kidman? No, it wasn't, was it? Or was it?
Was that with the sailboat in the middle of the ocean kind of thing?
Yeah.
I barely remember that movie.
I did like that film. Got you on the edge, that did. It was ooh. Anyway, iPad Plus NFC could be the ultimate payment terminal rumored by Apple Pay upgrade. So, we mentioned the iPad thing with the phone last week. They're now saying, if we think about that, if they put that on the iPad, it'd make the iPad a really good device for a payment terminal. They already do that.
They do that already.
They already do that.
And according to some people, the iPad has been a POS for a long, long time.
Point of sale for anybody. Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know. And apparently, developers have reacted to the 27% commission with astonishment and anger, Guy. Developers, doesn't say who, reacted with astonishment and anger at Apple's 27% commission policy as a minimal form of compliance with the new antitrust law regarding the App Store. After being ordered by Dutch regulators to allow developers to opt out of the App Store payment platform, Apple announced today that it would reduce its commission only 3% from the 30%. And it goes on and on, talking about all sorts of feelings, astonishment, and saying it's ridiculous. Well, if they get away with it, they get away with it. You always start high, guys. You always start high and come down. There's no point going down low because you can't go back up.
There was a guy I saw on Twitter. It was talking about. It says, all the people that were involved in this decision, and they should be walking out on Apple, and and just leaving, and blah 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 blah. And I sent it back saying, "Oh, so you've pulled all of your apps from the App Store, right?" And so far, silence.
Yeah. Tumbleweed. That guy. That is the end of Gaz's snippets. However, I do have a quick Gaz's link, which is actually, we told you so. We advised this. And this is a
last week.
This is a BBC link which says FBI urges temporary phones for Olympic athletes. Athletes and visitors heading to the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing should leave their phones at home and use temporary ones instead, the FBI has urged. I bet they don't urge that for people selling drugs on the corners of streets. But I'm just saying.
Okay.
They're called burner phones, folks. They're called burner phones, all right? Yeah. Anyway, we said that last week, and I think I agree with them.
What about people selling drugs on corners? I don't remember that.
That's the end of Gaz's snippets. Sorry, Gaz's link. You know what I mean. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I've played the music. I've played the music. Move on.
We're past it now. All right. Yeah. Well, that is going to do it for this part of the show. Everyone, please stand by. And I imagine that you'll hear some more silly stuff from us in just a minute. And welcome everyone back to the second part of the MyMac.com podcast, part 2, //. And I don't imagine this is going to take very long. One of the things that has struck me, and the way the whole thing started, somebody sent me a link to the trailer for the 3rd season of The Orville. And I don't know if that's the show that you watch, Gaz. It's
no, is this the one with what's his name?
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah. I watched the first one. I just couldn't get into it.
Oh, it's been so good. And if you watch the trailer, and actually that's going to be my pick this week, is the Orville trailer for the 3rd season.
Okay. Well, I have a thingy bob pick as well. So
it's amazing. It really, really is amazing. But we'll talk about that in a bit. But there is so much good science fiction on TV right now. And for a long time, it was like, okay, well, is there a new Star Trek show? Is there an existing Star Trek show that's on? Or is there, Battlestar Galactica was on for a while, or Stargate. There were like 10,000 different Stargate shows that was on for a while. And that was really about it. You didn't really, unless there was things like, the guy that played Hercules, Kevin Sorbo, I think his name is, something like that.
Right.
Was in a show. I can't even remember the name of it now, but it was really bad. There was a lot, there was other science fiction shows on TV, but they were really low budget. The special effects were just not that good. And the writing was subpar, and the acting was certainly subpar. And it just, a lot of it just wasn't a whole lot of fun to watch. But now, with the explosion of streaming services, there is so much money going in right now into streaming services that people are looking for these niche shows that will grab a couple of million people. And it doesn't even have to be like a huge number of people. It can be a relatively small amount of people, and they can justify how much they spend on special effects and sets and all the rest of that. And it doesn't hurt as well that a lot of the effects that they can do now don't cost as much as, like, if you look at Star Wars movies or Star Trek movies from the 90s and the aughts, it cost a crap ton of money to make an X-Wing fighter or the Enterprise go across a screen at an angle or whatever and do it with computers. But now it's like you get, Johnny on the spot with his little M1 going, oh yeah, I can do that. And, and so it's relatively cheap to do a lot of this stuff now. And so we're seeing this explosion of really pretty, for the most part, not all of it, but for pretty decent science fiction that's on TV right now. Now, I already mentioned Orville, which here in the States is moving from Fox, where it was for 2 seasons, over to Hulu. And depending on where you live in the world, I don't know where it's going to be for you. I know that Disney Plus picked up some of it, but I don't know if Disney Plus is going to also have the Orville overseas. Now you said that really wasn't your cup of tea, the Orville.
No, I must admit it. I think currently it's on Prime Video, and I'm not a Prime member, but I think I tried to watch it. I do have access to Prime through other
means.
channels
Sure.
and means.
Yeah.
But I did watch it, and I just thought, so what? But you did send me.
It got better in the second season.
Yeah, I might have to see if
they kind of toned the comedy down a little bit. The first season was all Star Trek: The Next Generation.
It wasn't the comedy that was the problem. I just thought no, it's just too. No. Anyway, we'll see. I might have to watch it.
But it's good. I really enjoyed the second season more than the first. And the third season, the trailer that they've put out looks amazing.
Okay.
All right. So moving on from that, the next one is The Mandalorian, which just finished up its first season on Disney Plus.
Quite good.
And it was really, really good.
Yeah.
I super enjoyed that. And
looking forward to the second season of that.
Well, it's funny you say that, Gaz, because I know you don't like the next show that I'm going to mention, which is Boba Fett, which has also been on Disney Plus.
Correct.
They're and I don't know if this was the plan all along, but they're kind of turning Boba Fett into the Mandalorian season 1.5, because he's now showed up, as does Grogu, that little Yoda-like.
That's fine. Now, I don't have a problem with them doing stuff like that, but I just need them to be telling me a story and not something which is interesting. And I really thought, I was falling asleep watching Boba Fett, and I wasn't even tired.
Well, I've kept up with it, not because I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, but just because it's like, okay, well, it's on, and so I'm gonna watch it. Kind of like I do the same thing with the next one, which is Star Trek Discovery, but with Boba Fett, I know exactly what you mean. It's kind of like, why are they doing this? Why are they going in this direction? The effects are just kind of Now, they would have been spectacular 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But they're not that great now. But now that they're kind of drawing in The Mandalorian, I am curious to see where they're going to go with it.
Okay.
But it's mostly because of The Mandalorian, not because Boba Fett's been all that wonderful for me.
Okay.
So, as I said, Star Trek Discovery. The first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, to me, were awful. Just dreadful. I know there are people that like it, but frankly, I didn't need to see most of the major characters about every other show go into a crying jag for one reason or another. And to me, the biggest problem with Star Trek Discovery has been these season-long story arcs that seem to be all the rage now, where it's like, well, we're going to tell this complete story over 10 to 12 episodes. And I'm like, well, what if the story is not that great? So Star Trek Discovery, the first 2 seasons have been kind of like that for me. Season 3 was better. There was still some crying, of course, but it was better. Okay. And season 4 so far has managed to keep me interested.
Let's not dwell on all of the seasons for all of the things. But
okay, sorry. All right, Star Trek.
Ask me what I think about Star Trek Discovery.
What do you think about Star Trek Discovery?
Haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. What about Star Trek Lower Decks?
I haven't watched it.
Really, it's so good. If you're a Star Trek fan, Star Trek Lower Decks treats prior shows and Star Trek history with great relevance, while at the same time making you laugh out loud.
That's on Amazon as well. So
yeah, these are over here in the States. They're both on Paramount Plus.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. You've put that in the notes. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Star Trek Lower Decks has been wonderful. Star Trek Picard on Paramount.
I haven't watched it.
You watched it? Haven't watched it. Well, first season, they're getting ready to come out with the second season. I watched it all the way through the first season, but mostly just was like, why are they telling this story? it just didn't feel like and again, these season-long story arcs, they just didn't feel like a story that needed to be told. But on that note, the next one is getting ready to start.
Just to note, excuse me, sorry, and on that one in the UK, that's also on Amazon.
Okay. Star Trek Brave New Worlds, which is the adventures of the USS Enterprise before Captain Kirk. However, Mr. Spock is on board the ship. It's Captain Pike, who, if you've ever seen the original pilot for Star Trek in the 60s, was the captain before Kirk. So it was Captain Pike and then Kirk.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, that at least as far as I know, this is not going to be one of those season-long story arcs. It's going to be, single episode shows where they warp in, oh, here's a problem, they resolve the problem, and then they warp out, screen fade, show the credits.
Okay.
So we'll see how that looks. But I'm looking forward to seeing if they're finally going to come back to doing just single episode shows without like having to tell a 12-part story. The last Star Trek one is Star Trek Prodigy.
I hadn't seen it. I hadn't heard about it. And again, it's probably available on Amazon in the UK. No. Prodigy.
Nickelodeon sponsored this.
Yeah, Prodigy.
So kids
no.
show.
Prodigy,
Mostly.
not seen that. No.
It's okay. It's not great. The animation is okay. You can tell it's kind of dumbed down for kids, but it's a hard kids show. So, and I've actually enjoyed it. I've actually enjoyed that show, even though the animation is subpar. The next one I think we both enjoyed, which was Foundation, the first season of Foundation on Apple TV.
I think I enjoyed it. I didn't read the books. You said that you thought it was covering the books quite well.
Yes.
I hadn't read the book, so I don't know. But I did watch it to the end, and it kept me watching. So I'll say that I enjoyed it rather than endured it.
Endured it. Yeah, there's a lot of shows I've talked about so far. It's been kind of like, okay, I got 10 more minutes before this episode is over. The next one that I'm going to talk about, I don't know if you've heard of this show.
I haven't. And again, this is available in the UK on Amazon. It seems as though Amazon is going to be the Sci-Fi channel or Sci-Fi place that you need to go and watch stuff in the UK. But yeah, I hadn't heard about this one.
Well, Resident Alien stars the navigator from Firefly, that guy, Alan, I can't remember his last name. And it's an alien that crashes on Earth who has a mission. I'm not going to say what the mission is, but he has a mission, and because he crashes, he loses the stuff that he needed to complete the mission. So in order to find these bits and pieces that have been spread out all over the place in the middle of nowhere in Colorado, he kills a doctor that is not really, it turns out to not be a very, very nice guy, and takes his place. He's able to transform himself to look like this doctor. Well, he has no idea how to be human, so his interactions with actual people are quite funny. Okay. So if you've never seen Resident Alien, give it a try. The first couple of episodes may hook you, it may not. It really depends on what it is you're looking for, but I really enjoyed the show.
Cool.
Next one, Lost in Space. Have you seen this one?
I haven't, but I've got to say that I've seen it because obviously this program is on Netflix, so we've got it in the UK as well. And I keep seeing and come across it. It keeps coming across my path within Netflix, and I've not yet got round to starting to watch it. So I'm going to be interested in what you say about it.
It's okay. It hasn't been
right.
Because this is basically a retelling of the 60s show that CBS put out. And that show turned eventually into the Monster of the Week show with the robot Dr. Smith and Will.
Yeah. I used to love that program as a kid.
Yeah, yeah. But that wasn't what that show was supposed to be in the beginning. It just kind of turned into that because Dr. Smith and the robot with their interactions just became so popular.
Yeah.
So this has most of those same pieces as far as the crew go, but it's a completely different kind of story that they're trying to tell. And it's okay. There were some episodes I was kind of like, oh, please, are we going through this again? Can we just get on to where you're going to do this other thing? So I haven't at all watched, I think the third season just concluded. I haven't watched any of that yet, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it. Next one, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with this show, Gaz, and it's For All Mankind.
I quite enjoyed
which is a retelling. Well, go ahead. You explain it.
Well, but it's on Apple TV or Apple TV Plus, and it's a slight different view of what happened on the moon and who got there first and who didn't get there first, and then who's taking over parts of the moon because of the resources that are available. But as I was going to say, actually, Guy, with all of these TV programs or all of these series, it is less about sci-fi and more about relationships and storytelling. And I do struggle a little bit now with the terminology, it's a sci-fi film, because yes, they are sci-fi. They're trying to do stuff which we can't do now, but a lot of them envisages stuff that maybe we could see things that we can do with some of the the technology. Whereas for me, true sci-fi is something which you go, oh my word, oh my God, really? Is that what they're thinking? And we've got so far away from that now. It's all about, human relationships and human interaction. And that's what For All Mankind was about. And it's a slight different telling of the fact that the Russians got to the moon first. I think they went through.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of obviously a bit of a political as well as physical battle that goes on about having ownership over certain areas in space, on the moon.
Yeah.
Expand a little more.
Well, to me, when they brought it back to Earth and they started talking about, well, we need to expand the astronaut program.
Yeah.
And there was a big emphasis, and this is in the 70s. Okay. There was a big emphasis on, well, who are the people that we're going to choose as astronauts?
Yeah.
And it just didn't ring true for that time period. So, and not that, God, how to say this without coming across really crass.
Well, don't.
I guess I really can't. It focused on things that to me didn't seem as important as trying to tell the story.
Yeah, so you see, and that's the thing. What I find is that you got to still have a story. Even a good sci-fi has to have a good story. But all of these programs seem to be trying to tell a human story in just a slightly different environment and trying to give it some realistic view so that people will be carried through from next week to the next week to the next week. Whereas, Star Trek, when it first came out, that was, wow, this is,
there was nothing else out there like
that's right. But now there's a lot less of that sort of stuff out there now, I think. That's why I was quite interested in what you were going to say about Resident Evil.
Well, the storytelling has suffered as they've focused more on interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
Tell the story. The story should be paramount, and that's a pun, I guess. Yeah. Not much of one, but it's
and this one, For All Mankind, isn't on Paramount.
No, it's on Apple TV. For All Mankind.
Whoosh.
Okay.
Whoosh.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. The last three I'm going to talk about here, I have not seen.
Okay, well let's whip through them then.
Okay, Raised by Wolves. This is on HBO Max. Except it's androids raising children on a barren world. So I'm guessing something's happened to Earth, and these androids are like, well, we're going to help humans, repopulate themselves, and we're going to do it on this barren world for reasons. The next one is called Timeless. Now, this one kind of interests me. It's on Hulu. I know it says Huku, but it's Hulu. Time travelers trying to stop someone else, some other organization from changing history. So that I'm guessing the way this works is they go to, they see a change in history. They go to at some point in history before that happens and try to stop the people that changed that history, which kind of almost sounds like there was a show in the 60s called Time Tunnel, which was kind of like that, but not. But that's the first thing I thought of when I was reading that. Now, this next one, Gaz, is there anything that J.K. Simmons has been in that hasn't been good? There's something about this guy, and he's been in ever since he played J. Jonah Jameson in the original Spider-Man movie back in the early 2000s. J.K. Simmons has just been in everything. And he's really, really good, and I've enjoyed him in almost everything that I've seen him in. Now, what this show is called Counterpart. It's on Amazon Prime. And J.K. Simmons is just this office guy who learns about parallel universes about to go to war with each other. And I have Amazon Prime, and when I saw the description for this show, I now want to watch it. And it's like, oh, do I have time? It's like, yes, all the Star Trek shows are currently not on, so I can watch this while I'm waiting for Star Trek Picard season 2 and Brave New Worlds, which I really want to see, and the second part of Discovery, and and Boba Fett and all the rest of these shows.
The rest of it. I didn't like La La Land, and he was in that.
Okay, I don't know that one.
That's all I'm saying. But no, I agree with you. He is a good actor, and he picks the right films, definitely. Right.
Yeah, he was actually, to go on a J.K. Simmons rant, he was also the voice of Omni-Man in the Invincible cartoon, if you've seen that.
No, I haven't.
Wow. That is an amazing bit of animation. I know that's completely off topic.
Completely off topic.
Invincible on Amazon Prime, go check it out. It's a completely different kind of take on superheroes, and it's really, really good. And J.K. Simmons does the voice of Omni-Man. So
cool. Good. Well done. You pulled that out of the bag, didn't you, Guy?
You're nodding your head.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
No chair squeak.
Less of a tip, more of a piece of advice for you, especially if you like to change the actions of your dock and menu bar. Go into system preferences, go into dock and menu bar, and you will find all sorts of variable options that you can manage with your menu bar and your dock, with them appearing or disappearing when you go full screen or not full screen, and sliding open, sliding shut. Just go in there. It's my tip is to get in there and stop laughing, Guy. And you can tell me what you're laughing at in a minute, but basically go into the dock and menu bar, look at the options and utilize it. You can change the position of your dock where it sits on your screen. You can do it so it disappears when you go full screen. Or there's a numerous amount of stuff in there that you could utilize.
Dock. You're talking about dock, right?
Just menu bar and dock.
And dock.
Not duck.
No, duck wasn't what I was thinking about as you were talking about things sliding around. But anyway, we're going to go right past that. And I guess you're nodding your head, aren't you?
I'm shaking my head after what you just said. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Yeah, Gaz, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, pretty much.
You've been acting really weird lately.
Yeah. I'm really sorry about that.
Have you got a pick sake?
Sort of. It's the Orville trailer. There'll be a link to the Orville trailer in the show notes, or just go over YouTube and type in Orville trailer, and it'll come up there as well. But it's really amazing to watch.
Two things. So I've got a pick for pick's sake this week. Now, I was going to pick some of the American football movies that I've been watching on Disney Plus, because I've been going through, the one that I watched actually this morning, well, actually, I started watching it last night and then finished watching it this morning with breakfast in bed. Was Catholics versus convicts, I think it was.
Did you say Catholics? Catholics
versus convicts.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about two American football teams. One is the Notre Dame, and who was the convicts? The convicts was Miami, I think it was, a university down in Miami. And some of these
they had
series,
that rep for a while.
I've got to say that most of the films are from ESPN, but actually I've just been enjoying watching them, and it still astounds me at the amount of people that go and watch these games. It's absolutely incredible. I remember when we were in the US and we went to California and we went up to the uni there, and we were shown the football ground, and I thought my mouth just dropped when I saw how many seats were there, because you don't build stuff like that unless you're going to fill it. And I've seen films of it's filled. Incredible. Anyway, those are not my picks. Those are not my picks for pick's sake. My for pick's sake is I've picked up on, now I'm doing this traveling to work. I've got a little bit more time in the car when I'm traveling over there. And I've been listening to Radio Lab.
Guy's Daily Drive?
No. I talk enough to you. I don't need to see you and hear you as well. Basically, Radio Lab. So they talk about all sorts of stuff, and I've been going through their back catalogue. Now we've got through to the 20s now, 2020, when we're going through the COVID bit, and their episodes have dropped off a little bit. So I've skipped and started listening to a few episodes and thought, no, you've lost the plot slightly, but possibly because they're in the COVID era and they're struggling to get the subjects and the people in. So that's fine. But I've gone through and I've picked up another one, and it's got back to the usual standard. These they are US centric, but actually a lot of the stuff they talk about, can be, you can listen to it from a global perspective. And I just like the delivery of these guys. I just like the way it comes over. I just like the way they talk about stuff, and they can vary in length from between 30 minutes and an hour, and I've just really enjoyed them. So go over and give Radio Lab a pull and get some of the older episodes in and listen to them. I've enjoyed them, and I'm looking forward to catching up so I can listen to the newer versions as well.
Yeah, so that's Guy's Daily Drive at podcasts. Okay, but speaking of which, if you've done an iTunes review or a podcast review, I should say, and we've spoken on the show about it, if you let us know that you've done a review about this show anywhere, it doesn't have to be podcast, Apple's podcast app. It could even be Spotify. It could be pretty much anywhere that we can see the review. Let us know that you've done that review, and we'll talk about it here in the show. And you'll get a Woo T, which is a big W, big O, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark Woody.
Can I just put a proviso on that, Guy?
Sure.
We don't want you saying, I told my wife about your podcast. That's not really a review, folks.
Yeah.
We really like a review.
Give us a little more than that.
Yeah, a review that's been done in the public domain. Let's put it that way.
Okay. But speaking of which, we do have some audio feedback.
Ooh.
All from Greg this week.
Yay, we love Greg.
We do. So
I'm not like that. Not like that.
Yeah, no. We're just friends. Just friends. Here's the first one.
What microphone is Guy using this week? No one really cares, but they'll still talk about it for 10 minutes. They're the G-Men on the MyMac show.
Pretty much spot on there. All right. Then there's two more here, and I'm going to play the first one, wait a second, and then play the second one.
His name was Guy. No fooling.
That came across on two separate Skype calls.
I like
Brilliant.
it. I like it.
Thank you, Greg. We really do. And,
no fooling.
I'm so glad, because if you hadn't have put that in, I would not have been able to play the first comment. I would have been completely flustered. if you would like to help support this show and some of the other things that I do, you can go to patreon.com/MacParrot. You can go to coffee, ko-fi.com/MacParrot, or pay a pal at paypal.me/MacParrot. Guess if people wanted to get a hold of you because we got to hurry because we're taking way too much time, how can they do that?
Send an email to gazjz@mymac.com or on the Twitters, twitter.com/Gazmaz, GAZ, or you can contact both Guy and myself on the Twitters, twitter.com/Guy and Gaz, GUYAND GAZ.
Cars.
You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. That's feedback@mymac.com.
His name was Guy.
Guy
right at the beginning. Right at the beginning.
I like to go with Guy.
Guy was paid his $75,000.
Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
His name was Guy. His name was Guy.
He's the guy.
Guy? You remember Guy? Guy's the one.
I screwed up.
No foolin'.
And no squeaks. Listen.
No squeaks. I like it. So,
squeaks.
If you want
an email from Guy,
how would they do it?
Oh, you would go and open that email client and type in guy@mymac.com or podcast@vertshark.com. You can find me on the Twitters. I am both MacParrot and VertShark over there on the Twitters.
Oh.
There you go. And vertshark.com is the website. Oh, wow. That's an odd sounding shark. We have a Skype telephone number, Gaz. That number is 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. That number again, 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. Or don't dial the 1 or the +1. Go to the Skype application and dial 703-436-9501. Now, we're so close to the end. We're this far away from the end, Gaz. We would like to say to everyone listening to this show, all right, first, we're sorry. Number 2, thank you. It is. It's such a mystery. But we really, really do appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to download and listen to this show. And I know I say that every single week.
But we mean it.
But we really do mean it. That is the absolute truth. We goof around a lot in this show, but we really, we're astounded, but we really do appreciate the fact that you guys listen and or watch it on YouTube or however it is that you consume this show. And based on that, Gaz, I think that we're good enough.
Yep.
And I think just based on the second part of the show this week that we're smart enough.
Yep.
And that a small little dog somewhere in the UK that says woof, 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 woof. Doggone it, Gaz. People like us.
Tanta, Fanta, Scianza, di Fanta Scianza, in televisione, ci un so mica da induve principelia. Guy, that wasn't Italian, but did you hear about the Italian guy that died?
No.
He passed away.
Why didn't I know that?
End.
So you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on. Go on home and go home.